Park is home to some of the UK's most thrilling rides, from the staggeringly tall Hyperia to the extremely fast Flying Fish, and from the very wet splash of Tidal Wave to the dizzying nature of constantly barrel rolling on Colossus. There is tons on offer at Thorpe Park, but a lot of those rides were built many years ago and could be coming towards the end of their lives. So that begs the question, how long do they all have left? Today we're going to go through all the rides and roller coasters at Thorpe Park and analyse and speculate which Thorpe Park ride will be removed next. Because after the insane support from the previous Alton Towers version, I feel like I have to do this. So make sure you watch till the end, as there may be some very sad choices in there. And make sure to subscribe to the channel too if you haven't already. And sorry to interrupt, I very recently announced that I will be riding Rita at Alton Towers 100 times in a row in aid of the Alzheimer's Society, and every milestone we hit with donations, more laps will be added. So go and donate to the Just Giving page and check out rita100.com down below. So then, what ride will be removed next from Thorpe Park? Of course, we're not just going to look at a map of the park and go, oh, that ride will be removed, that one I really hope gets removed, and that one's definitely going to stay. No, we're not going to be doing that. But instead, we're going to go through a selection of rides and roller coasters and tier them according to how much time I think they have left, where the rides can be completely fine, past their prime, or on borrowed time. And we can start the list with the easiest one to work out what its future's going to be like. Hyperia, literally only opened 2 years ago in 2024. Of course, it's on borrowed time. No, obviously, I think Hyperia will be here for the long run, as I hope it would be, considering it just opened. And for that reason, the 236-foot tall Mack Hypercoaster is completely fine. Although the water splash element on it is probably past borrowed time, and we'll never see it ever again. Another coaster I can see having a similar future to Hyperia is the Swarm, located on the aptly named Swarm Island. But I thought the whole park was an island. How is there an island on an island? This B&M wing coaster opened back in 2012, and the year after got some lovely additions, including a backward seat and, more importantly, a billboard. And because it's a B&M roller coaster and B&Ms are built to last for so many years, and this was before their rattle era, the Swarm, I would say, is completely fine, and I'd say that will stick around for another 20-30 years, if not even longer. So I'm actually going to say that would last probably similar time to Hyperia, around 2060 or 2070, because yes, in this video I am going to give prediction years as to when it could last till, because when I'm like 70 at that point and I'm looking back, I can laugh at how wrong I was, or how correct, and how everything is gone. Talking of other rides that may last a lifetime, I could see Detonator, their huge drop tower, lasting a very long time as well. Same with Tidal Wave, their massive splash water chute ride, although that keeps having like long refurbishments, and then they don't say anything about it. So maybe it's past its prime. Much like I think a lot of the flat rides that aren't Detonator at the park are also probably past their prime, including Samurai and pretty much all of the ones in Lost City. So Rush, Vortex, Quantum, and the other one that's never opened. So that one you could say it's on borrowed time. But again, all those flat rides seem to shut at certain points in the year for unexplained maintenance. So I think quite a few of them only have a maximum of 10 to 15 years left, along with an absolute fan favourite in the park, Flying Fish, the Mack Rides powered coaster that goes round in a lovely little layout, where at one point it's profiled so you're banking round and then suddenly... Isn't it fantastic? And I was going to say that Flying Fish is completely fine because it's been around for so long already and it's running better than ever, but I am going to say it is past its prime because, again, it is aging and I don't know how long the fish will still fly for. So again, I give that maybe 14, 15 years, so 2040, the fish will finally fly away from the park, especially if they're steering more towards thrill, which we can see with a lot of their coasters, including the Walking Dead The Ride, the re-theme of X, or X No Way Out, or just Pyramid Ride. They got rethemed with all this horror theming and all these zombies. And as family coasters go, you can ride Hyperia if you're 1.3 and not this. And as much as they have refurbished the theming and stuff around the ride itself, the coaster, is pretty old now. So again, I'm going to say that's past its prime. Although, if the Walking Dead IP runs out earlier, we could see another retheme or it shut completely in the next 3 or 4 years. Another spooky themed ride. This one, the world's first horror movie roller coaster, Saw the Ride. I think that will still stick around for quite some time, but because the ride itself is a little bit uncomfortable and going down that drop feels like you are being jackhammered. I'm gonna say it's past its prime, but I don't think it's going anywhere. So I give Saw the ride until about 2040, 2045 maybe. But again with this one, what if the IP runs out? What if they don't want to pay for it anymore? And to be fair, they'd be pretty stupid because Saw is a very big franchise and they've definitely done well getting that. And that ride is very popular. So again, I'm sticking to 2040. Moving away from roller coasters that go like this and instead to water rides that go like... Yes, we said Tidal Wave was maybe past its prime, but I think that's fine for now. Yes, we've realised that Rumba Rapids is beyond borrowed time, because that's now gone. But we haven't spoken about another big water ride, Storm Surge. And considering how this looks on the skyline and how it runs and the queue it gets, because of that lack of capacity, I would say Storm Surge is on borrowed time. Well, I hope anyway. But that's not the only water ride I think will disappear very soon, because Depth Charge, the 4 little water slides right at the front of the park, they are 100% on borrowed time. I mean, they just got rid of half the beach for an amazing seating area. Now they've basically removed half of what was Port Atlantis. They might as well dive deep and charge all the way by removing Depth Charge as well, which I would be sad about, but it kind of gotta go. So I'm actually going to give that till 2030. And another ride at the park, this time a roller coaster that is like Marmite. Some people love it and some people hate it. Colossus, the 10 looping Intamin roller coaster. There's been a lot of rumours about this being removed. Obviously you had the retracking saga where they repainted and retracked parts and then it didn't fit, so they just scrapped it. There was a whole rumour going around that it was sinking into the ground and they needed to get rid of it. We already saw Saw Alive suffer that fate. Not Colossus as well. But with them having redone the surroundings and tried to repaint certain sections of the ride, I do think Colossus is just at the end of past its prime. Because I know paint jobs and everything doesn't mean, oh, it's going to stick around. But that 10 looping coaster is such a staple for that park, and I wouldn't be surprised if they try and keep it around for another maybe 12 years or so. So I'm going to say 2038 Colossus might be around till, but I would not be surprised if I'm wrong with that one. And my final 2 rides on this list and this selection may come as a bit of a surprise to you, that being Nemesis Inferno, the B&M inverted coaster in the jungle area. Oh, it's not actually called the jungle anymore. The ride that starts in the volcano has this really cool pre-lift section and then just does a classic sort of Batman the Ride layout that's decently intense and then heads back into the brake run. And you may not agree with me here, but I think Nemesis Inferno is on borrowed time. What do you mean it's a B&M coaster? It could last ages. It already has lasted ages, as it has been around for 23 years, and a similar ride with a very similar name over at Alton Towers known as Nemesis Reborn. As much as that was always a lot better before the retrack, they obviously went and did that retrack when it reached around 30 years old, because some of the structure of the ride, such as the supports, were sort of cracking and coming out of the ground a bit. So because of how iconic it was and those structural issues, they just went and retracked the whole thing and rethemed it. I think Nemesis Inferno will suffer a very similar fate, but because it's not quite as iconic as Nemesis was originally, I don't know if it would stick around forever, because I remember reporting multiple times throughout the past couple years that there's been some structural issues with the support structure on this ride, where they've had to like fill certain bits in, and as much as that will last a very long time, I do think over the next few years we might start to see some of those issues that Nemesis had creeping in, thus leaving Inferno to close. I mean, they might retrack it and name it Nemesis Reborn in Inferno. Doesn't quite have the same ring to it. And I would love to see them drop the Nemesis name and just call it Inferno if they did do that. But yeah, it's definitely on borrowed time, and I do think that will close in the next 10 years easily. Maybe even before that. So I'm actually going to give it till around 2032 for that to shut and either have a refurbishment or just be absolutely demolished. But obviously, it's all just speculation. I might be completely wrong, as I might be with our final coaster on this list. Stealth, the Intamin accelerator in the Amity Speedway that opened 20 years ago this year. And oh boy, as much as I love this thing and the launch that it has, it's so good. The top hat, the airtime, I think this is on borrowed time as well. And that's purely because at the minute we seem to be losing a lot of Intamin hydraulic coasters because Intamin don't actually make those types of coasters anymore, and maintenance costs and parts for it do tend to seem quite expensive, not to mention the ride being down for months at a time sometimes. Whether that's for planned maintenance or not, it's still shut when the park is open. And as much as I would be absolutely devastated to see it go, I do think some sort of retract version of it, whether it is a swing launch coaster or something completely unique, would be amazing in its space. And it'll be a very sad time when it does close. And hopefully I'm wrong with this, but I could see it shutting at around 2031. Which would be so sad. But again, not surprising considering how much it closes at the minute. What do you guys think to my selection? Do you think I'm correct with any of them? Probably not. Or do you disagree with some of them? Leave in the comments below your selection and what you think the future holds for these coasters. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and want to see more like this in the future. And go and check out the same video that I did for Alton Towers if you haven't already. It was quite the fun video. There was some surprises in there as well, you know. A few things past its prime, a few on borrowed time. Go and watch it.